All right, so welcome, folks, and you're welcome to always share these recordings with anyone else. We're doing these sessions absolutely free because we sometimes, when we look at our lives and we think, how much am I really giving away versus what I'm receiving? I think everyone has to answer that one individually. And of course, if you're poor or broke and you say, well, I can't give anything, well, you can give your time. And this is what we're going to do is we're going to give our time and we're going to share with you some of probably 35 years of experience. I grew up in a very conservative religious home, and I learned some of the religious rules, rituals of that church until I became a pastor in that church, and then I wasn't. I was 7 years, exactly 7 years, a pastor, and that the ministry told me they don't need my services anymore. And that took me on a journey because everything that you believe in, often what you believe in is because you've told that's what to believe in, and you haven't really proven it for yourself. So I'm going to be telling you some new things tonight. I'm going to be telling you things you already know, and I'm going to be telling you things you're probably going to sit and fight and argue with me. So, I don't like that. I don't believe that. It's all right. You don't have to believe everything or practice everything, but at least once you've heard it and if it makes sense to you, I'm going to tell you little stories in between my presentation. So I'm not going to just say you must do this, you mustn't do that, you must do this. I'm actually going to tell you some practical stuff that goes with it. So one of the first things that I thought about our lives in general, we have either routines or rituals. Now you can sit and wonder or answer your own answer this question for yourself and say, am I following a ritual, a daily ritual, or am I following a routine? And what is that? Is it the same thing over and over every day? Is it the same um, road you drive every day? Is it the same people you see on a daily basis? Is that good? Is that not good? Is that boring? Is that going to change my life, or is that actually going to help me go forward? Well, you will have to analyze this to know the results. So, what are your routines or rituals? Some people that said to me they don't like rituals. But then when you ask them a question, okay, what do you do from the time you wake up from Monday to Friday? They will tell you that I do this and this and this and this. So isn't that a ritual? It's that what you believe you may be doing. Routine is something that you fall into. It's something that's comfortable or uncomfortable. It's things you do over and over. But rituals is something that you firmly believe that you have to do that. And you have to do that because it has some good result. So, whether a routine or a ritual is good and bad, it's only up to you to decide, is this taking me forward in your life or is it not taking you forward? And both of them have their good points. It's good to have a routine that you don't fall, okay, well, I used to wake up at 5 o'clock to be on the road at 6 o'clock so that I can be work at 7 o'clock. Now I wake up at 5:30. I push the snooze button several times and then I only leave the last minute to work and it's a rush and stress on me. So that means the good routine that you had is you're falling out of the routine and that's not good anymore. For many people, worshiping God, whoever you believe is God, is a good thing. That is a ritual that people follow. And if you read whichever scripture you use, whether you use the Bible, the Torah, the Veda, the Quran, each one tells you how to live your life, how to worship God. And do you then, in that religion, do you actually follow those guidelines? We're going to discuss this a little bit tonight. Does working hard give you good results? Working hard means I'm following a routine every single day, and working hard means I'm doing Some people think that they're working hard, but they're actually just following a routine that's long and boring every day. And then they call that working hard. And then the other thing that I've mentioned already, being lazy, in other words, you you you're waking up later, you're not doing your chores that you should be doing, you're not, washing the dishes often enough. All of those kind of things can then feel, oh, I'm feeling sorry for myself. I'm just going to take it easy because I've been working so hard. So when the old picture when we were children, always had this picture of the man coming home, sitting on the couch and asking his wife for the newspaper and a beer while he was watching TV, and she had to cook food and she had to serve him beers while he was sitting and watching the TV. And then that was the kind of the sense of that man, he's worked hard and now he's relaxing. He doesn't need to do anything further because it's the woman's job to do that. So those are little routines and expectations that we have because we saw that by our parents or society taught us that. So when we talk about routines, there's there's that expectation that we have of ourselves and of others. The expectation you have for yourself is often not as harsh as you have for someone else. And sometimes we set a higher standard. That's one of the things we read in the Bible about the Pharisees. The Pharisees were always looking how they can find fault with everyone else that was doing wrong, but they are hypocrites because they're doing the same things wrong, but they're just not doing it publicly. So then the other thing about expectations, if you have an expectation from yourself, of yourself, are you willing to put in the work to make that expectation of a dream a reality? I'm going to tell you about my very first Comrades Marathon. I just finished school and I went into the police college because that time we had to do national service. Some of you know what that was, had experience in that. And I said, well, I'm going to go into the police force. I'm going to become a fingerprint expert because I have that um, police blood in me. And I went into the police college, but I was fit. I was running fit. I had done my was the athlete of the year, Victor Ladorum, 2 years in a row, and now I was fit. I came out and I was just full of energy in this training college. And some of the trainers came to me, or the guys that were the sergeants that were training the new students, came to me and said, why don't you come and run a marathon with us? So when I went, yes, I'm going to run a marathon. And I did well with my first marathon. They said, okay, now you're going to run the Comrades Marathon. I said, how am I going to do that while I'm in my college time? Because they won't give me permission. Anyway, this is Pretoria College, 1990. Yeah, and I'm 18 years old. I'm got lots of energy. And they said to me, we will make it possible for you to run the Comrades Marathon. We just need to find a way to get you to Durban so that you can run the uprun. And they put everything in order for me, and I got permission to go out of the college and go and run that marathon with the two instructors. My dad actually took us down in his vehicle. But in that time that I was preparing for that first marathon, now I'd never run, the furthest I'd run was 56 kilometers, which is the Two Oceans Marathon. And then now I'm going to run 90 kilometers or 87 kilometers. How am I going to prepare for that marathon? It's just no way possible for an 18-year-old to prepare for something like that. I spent my nights closing my eyes and seeing myself running that marathon over the hills, down the hills, up the hills, down the hills, night after night after night. So I had this expectation that I was pushing myself hard, training hard, and I was dreaming of doing this. And I ran my first Comrades in 7 hours, 14 minutes, which was 16 minutes underneath the cutoff for the silver. So I won a silver medal. And then I did 10 comrades after that. And I never look back at, because I can tell you the story of me dreaming of this higher goal, the South African runner's highest ambition, highest goal is to run the Comrades Marathon. Unfortunately, when you run the up run or a down run, they say you must do an up run if you've done a down run, or you do a down run if you run the up run, because you can't just say you've run one way. You've got to run twice, one up and one down. And then when you've done that, they say, okay, here's the next goal. You need to run 10. So I ran 10. And then they said, oh, but you've run 10, but you need to run in your green number. So I ran the 11th one and I was finished. So for all of us, there's always the next goal. We all need another goal, a new target to keep us excited about life. And tonight we're gonna do this whole course about life, life edit, starting at the head and ending at the toes. So tonight we're going to focus mostly on the head. Everything that you need to know in a simplistic way about your head. Because if the head, the control panel, is not functioning properly, then how does the rest of the computer function? So we're going to talk about the uh, the things that men and women do from day to day. We're going to talk about men and women. They often we focus a lot of attention on our skin and looking good. And of course, men don't worry too much. That's why often the men look 10, 20 years older than their wives, because the wives are spending all this money on self-care and makeup and skin rejuvenation and plastic surgery. But the skin obviously deteriorates as age does, and actually it's an exterior projection of an interior problem. So in other words, the older we get, the less good nutrition we take. Because if your skin is bad on the outside, it's because it's not been fed with the right ingredients on the inside. So there's a lot of people with stunning skins that hardly take any creams for their outside because they're eating the right nutritious diet. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to change our diet. And we said we're doing the head to toe, so we're going to start with the head thing. What can I change in my diet that can make my head better focused, not just looking better, but actually finding a new routines for your skin. So what can I do to stop my aging process? Now, we're going to talk a little bit about margarine later, because margarine is probably the biggest health risk that you can have. If you're putting margarine on or in anything, you're causing high blood pressure, you're causing cholesterol, you're causing a lot of things. But we're gonna include things like butter or palm oil in our cooking. And then on our foods, we're going to add olive oil, because olive oil is very good. If you go and look at they call it the blue zones. I don't know if you've watched Netflix. There's the blue zones, and there's one of the areas is called Sardinia. Sardinia is like there on an island off the coast of Italy, and those people live to 100 years old. And the stuff that I'm going to share with you tonight, including olive oil, is something that they take regularly over their food. Now, you don't cook with olive oil because olive oil, like margarine, can't handle high heat. But you throw it over your food when you're about to eat it. And that will immediately change your skin tone and make your skin more less, especially during winter. Winter time, people suffer with dry skin and they put all this aqueous cream and expensive creams, which is just topical. It's not feeding it from the inside. It's okay to put it on, but it's not, you're still gonna. So what we do is we end up eating and drinking the wrong stuff, which makes the skin dry, and then we put stuff on, we spend more money. So every time we eat the wrong things, we spend money, and then when we put um, expensive creams on our skin, we spend more money. So let's talk about what's good for the skin and is what's good for the head, what's good for the memory. And we're going to start with I'm going to mention a few things, starting with zinc. If you want to have zinc and selenium, you get what you call a antioxidant formula that has zinc in it, which helps the promotion of circulation. And everything we're going to talk about on this slide is about circulation. If you've ever heard about ginkgo biloba, please go to Dischem or to your pharmacy or wherever a health shop, ask them for ginkgo biloba capsules. Now, I want to tell you something about ginkgo biloba because it's one of the wonders of the world that when they dropped the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. Hiroshima was one of the cities that had the most ginkgo trees. So originally it's from Japan, but now they're growing in South Africa and all over the world. And they found that the ginkgo tree was the first plant that started rejuvenating itself after the radiation of the atomic bomb. And they found that ginkgo biloba is very good for people who have had radium or radiation treatment. Helps them get their hair growing. It helps them, your eyesight improves, your memory improves, and your hair starts growing back quicker. And that's general for everybody. It's not just because of radiation treatment. So ginkgo is one of those world's wondrous plants. How did God know that he needs to put ginkgo trees in Hiroshima or the area of Hiroshima so that we can also learn that there are some very good plants on this earth that can help us with thinking and memory. And ginkgo also promotes oxygen into the rest of the body. Then there's selenium, which is one of those minerals that we all need. We need selenium for good bones, good bone growth, but selenium is also helps for antioxidants and circulation. One of the things I've been asked about lots lately is varicose veins. And molasses is very good for all kinds of circulatory problems, but molasses was your original sugar that the old people used to use. It comes from sugarcane. It's the first product after the sugarcane has been pressed, and it's like a syrup substance, and you can use that in your tea and coffee. The fact that people have white sugar and brown sugar today, it's because people want the molasses to last long. And then they bleach molasses with caustic soda to make it white. They bleach it all the goodness out, and then when you have the white sugar, you've got all these gouty, heartburn, all of those kind of problems because you're getting so much white sugar in with caustic soda. So molasses definitely helps everybody with circulation. So often when we look at the original sugar, we think of sugarcane, sugar is actually the byproduct of molasses. It's the processed product. The next product is one of these mushrooms called lion's mane. So it's not from a real lion. You don't want to be going to pluck a lion's mane without losing a finger or something. Um, Lion's mane is one of the most amazing products for memory, and not just memory. It actually helps you with your power of reasoning. Now, if you struggle with any of these products, both myself and Nelda have um, contacts with the health industry. We can order these products directly from the pharmaceutical companies that make capsules and stuff. So you can always ask us about them if you struggle. And then Prime One. Prime One is a product that the Prime One, if you don't know about it, I want to tell you that it's the oldest health product on planet Earth. And this product was actually made in the USSR in the time of the Cold War. And they were busy experimenting with herbs in the Siberian forest. And they found these certain herbs that were so good for helping skin and cell multiplication. And that everybody that started using it started feeling better. Now, you start feeling better in your head first and then your body. When you're feeling good in your head, then if your body is not feeling well, it's okay. But your head is the most important. And we're going to focus some more attention on the head now. And you're welcome to type any questions in the chat box. Um, we can answer the questions as we go. One of the things that causes mucus, and I'm going to talk only about experience now. This is experience about my childhood. I, as a child, suffered with mucus in all my young years. I'm talking about from the age of 6 to 8 years old, right until the age of 18 years old. And what happened then was I found that I was having a lot of chocolates and dairy products, especially the Steri Stumpy. And I could hardly breathe through one nostril. I found myself often only breathing through my mouth. And then one day I picked up a book called Living Health by a man and his wife called Harvey Diamond. Can't remember what her name was. And they actually had a few chapters about different products. And one of the products that they chapters in the book was about dairy products. And he said something very interesting that in milk there is a stringy protein called casein. And casein is the thing that causes mucus buildup when you, as a person, takes it. So the milk that a cow drinks is a formula that the cow makes for its calf to have a baby that's born with 40 kilograms to make that baby grow to 300 kilograms in a question of 6 months. That's a formula to make it grow 10 to 20 times its weight. Now, we as people have mothers that gave us milk. And if you can't give your baby milk or you know of somebody, that is a simpler formula. There's two very good herbs. One is them is Lucerne alfalfa capsules. You can even milk starters known for helping mothers produce milk. So you should actually have the formula of your species and not another species. But because we've been so indoctrinated that this is good for us, and but I remember at school, they told us at school about the pros and the cons of all of these products, but they said, but you must still have it. So when I was taking all this milk and mixing it with these strawberry flavors and all of that, my nose got blocked. And yet, unfortunately, a blocked nose causes an irritated person. We're going to get to that now. Cheese, one of the biggest causes of cancer, skin cancer, is cheese. One of the ladies that we had this conversation, she had these pet rats and pet mice. And she said, I used to give my rat cheese all the time. And then one day it had these big lesions on it, like cancer formed underneath the skin. And she took it to the vet and she said, Vet, why is this happening to her? This is the third or fourth mouse that I'm getting this problem with. And he said, have you been feeding your rat cheese? She said, yes. He said, well, that's the reason. So I would minimize the cheese. And the only reason why you're having it because you like it. And there's nothing worse, no worse compliment, no worse, let's put it this way, excuse to have anything is because it's I like it. I like it means nothing. It's is it good for me? How good is it for me? Is it am I achieving the results? Then the next thing is yogurt. Now yogurt, people say you must have yogurt, you must have yogurt. And then they flavor the yogurt so that you can have more and more. Yogurt is the most acidic buildup of anybody that's using lots of yogurt. They've got lots of wins. I stayed in a house where there was another lady staying once, and she used to walk around the house and she farted. I mean, she gave it stick, and she always had wins, and she had yogurt. That was her staple food. Yogurt is medicine. Medicine when you've been using antibiotics, which break down your intestinal flora, then you take yogurt only for a few days. So you shouldn't be taking yogurt in any ongoing. And of course, just like milk and cheese, it's got casein in, which causes mucus. Now, the worst mucus, one of the worst mucus formers, if there's such a word, are cola drinks. Your fizzy drinks that have got these sugar concentrates are one of the worst things. I used to live on Coke. During the days I used to deliver newspapers, I used to make sure, because I was earning my own money. I didn't even need my parents' pocket money. I used to buy myself at least 1 liter of Coke every day. Sometimes I bought 2 liters, but I had 1 liter of Coke every day, and I had chocolates every regularly as I could. But I couldn't breathe. I struggled with mucus, and there's nothing worse than mucus. Then the next thing is let's start replacing these things. When I went off Coke, I actually started drinking Sprite, and then I went on to Fanta, and then I went on to all these different fruit juices. So I weaned myself, I took myself off of something slowly but surely by just replacing it with something else. And that's simple. All you need to do is just buy something different to drink. Some of us think we need milk, and we don't. When the cow is weaned, have you ever seen an adult cow going to drink from its mother? No, it's the formula is finished, the growth is finished, taking place. We are we are the supposedly the most intelligent species, but we're making the most mistakes. If you need to use milk, get yourself some rice milk. I know a lot of people don't like soya milk. We've got soya milk won't do a third of the damage that normal milk is doing to you. Then there's coconut milk. Then there's tofu for cheese. I mean, you can put in the ingredients to make it more salty or whatever. I don't like the taste. I would rather take, folks, don't destroy your health because of like and not like. You can learn to like things. You can replace with natural plant substitutes. I've just mentioned a few things. There are a lot of substitutes that you can use. I'm going to talk about some of the worst products. I actually mentioned one already that you can take. And the reason why I'm saying these things because they are so detrimental to your health, you actually don't realize what it is doing to you. And we're going to start with everything that's white. I know you're smiling now. Starting with margarine, white bread, milk, and white sugar. All of these things are so detrimental to your health. I can't even explain to you how much. So starting with margarine, everybody that's done research on high blood pressure, cholesterol, and all of that, have now said that the thing that's caused the most cholesterol and health issues and cancers is margarine. Because once they've dissected margarine and they looked at the chemical structure, they said if you go to a margarine factory, the margarine factory knows exactly the minute to stop the heat of that high heat process. Because if they let that margarine go for another minute or three, they've got plastic. It's a pure piece of plastic. Now imagine that plastic sitting in your veins and clogging up your veins. So I don't want to I don't want to convince you more. You're going to do your own homework. White bread, especially shop white bread. I'm not talking about homemade white bread. Homemade white bread is much better. It's 10% unhealthy compared to white bread, which is 110% unhealthy. White bread is the cause of lots of sluggish, tired feelings, diabetes. In fact, margarine was one of the biggest causes of diabetes. And then white bread also, because once you've eaten white bread, give yourself 45 minutes, your blood sugar drops, and you don't know anything. You don't know why. And of course, white bread for many people causes constipation. So if you're struggling to have one or even two bowel movements a day, then you're having too much processed white bread. Now, white bread, like most shop breads, have got about 27 ingredients in. Yeah, we'll go into that now. And then, of course, milk. All of these products, I've just mentioned a few, these are the worst products. Now, if you say most people are living on the bread line, these are the staple diet. What we're going to go to the shop to buy bread and milk. It's staple food, but it's the worst food. It keeps you sluggish and slow, and unless you have a job that you're physically working hard every day, you're going to find blood sugar drops through the course of the day. So if you have to have bread, have homemade bread. We support the local people making sourdough bread, which has only 3 ingredients, not 27. And sourdough bread is wholesome bread. And it doesn't have the same effect on your blood sugar that white bread, shop bread makes. Have rice cakes, have matzos. These are good replacements for those previous things. Yes, they do cost a bit more. The bread costs a bit more. Instead of 20 Rand, you might pay 30 or 40 Rand for your sourdough bread, but it lasts you double the time. So instead of buying a bread every day, you can buy a bread every second day and you're spending the same amount of money and you got a better health result. Then what's good for the head is best for the body. And one of the things is breathing. Breathing is so important for us. And breathing is where lack of breathing is cause of stress. So when we have a lack of water and oxygen, if you don't drink enough water or have enough breathe properly, you're stressed and you don't know why. So the cheapest things are the least consumed or appreciated. If you breathe deeper breaths during the course of the day, you will then have better results with your thinking. And if you take the right nutrition for your head, as we said in the beginning, ginkgo, zinc, selenium, lion's mane, Prime One. I'm an agent for Prime One. Yes, I'm promoting it. It's the best formula that I've ever used that includes everything, and it doesn't cost you 1,000 Rand a bottle like some of these health products often do. It costs you thousands of rands because they're putting so much marketing behind it. So we're going to focus on our lives. Can we do some small changes, small edits in our lives to to change that rush, that absolute movement all the time, to something more calmer. So some of you have heard of the word meditation, but it sounds like something Eastern, getting quiet. Now, just for your information, the word meditate appears in the Bible 14 times. There are all the verses from Genesis to 1 Timothy. And the word meditation appears 6 times in the Bible. So if you want to go and look it up, just go and download the Bible app and you can find it there. So we are never learnt to think or meditate or breathe. We just, you just, if you can't breathe, you can't concentrate. And then you have ADHD and you're eating lots of artificial ingredients and you can't think straight. When last did you think straight? When last did you think without negative thoughts ruling your mind? So you were told to pray. That means you go to a place and blah, 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 and you talk and request and demand and give expected timelines, or only you do that when you are desperate. When you pray, it's time to surrender. It's time to listen. It's time to ask when you need to be asked. So you need to learn, we need to learn what prayer really is. And Einstein said the height of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result. Are you expecting a different result? Do you follow those same things every day? Are you going to change something? Are you going to start breathing? Are you still going to start thinking differently about life? And we're going to talk a little bit about this next time, about disciplined people and the reason why they achieve results. I hope you've all enjoyed the session and learned something. We're keeping our sessions to the 40 minutes only. So hopefully you've benefited from something. We will make the recording available for you and whoever else wants to watch. Have a great evening, folks. And